Welcome all to the Week 17 Start Sit show here at IDP Plus. My name is Mike Scully. I'm joined here by Sean Teague. No Ricky this week, but he's here thinking about us for our fantasy championships. Because that's what we're here to do, Sean. We already have a bunch of questions from people before the show. Getting ahead of it. Good to see you, Berg. Good to see Harry Brooks. Good to see Fantasy Sports as always. Ant Live, Harry Brooks again, Kevin Hutchinson. Good to see you guys. Sean, how are you doing today on this lovely and maybe not so lovely for you given the storms and what's going on? But how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Got my power turned on right before we go live, so that was stressful.
The sacrifices this man goes through to get us our fantasy info. We are truly grateful, Sean. I want you to know that.
Right or wrong, I'm going to be giving answers. So
And I'm sure they're right.
let's hope so.
I'm sure they are. But defensively, offensively, we're here to help. Ultimately, we're all here for the same purpose, and that's to get a fantasy football championship, to brag it over your friends, to lord it over your enemies. All of those good things we're trying to do today here at IDP Plus. So keep on putting those questions in the chat, whether again offense or defense. We're here to help. And you know what, Sean? Let's just jump right into it.
All
Bird
right, man, let's go.
already wanted to thank you. I wasn't here last week, but wanted to thank you for answering questions last week because now he's got a couple for the championship, which means he
Means
was
good job, Ricky. You got him
congrats,
in there.
congrats to you. We got to pick one defensive back here. Chin Amadi or Jalen Carlisle if EJ Speed says, man, the injuries at linebacker this week.
Yeah, we were just talking
It's
about that.
Yeah, we were
It's
just
getting
talking
brutal
about
out here.
that. You have no Josie Jewell. You have no N'Kobe Dean. You might not have EJ Speed. Logan Wilson's been out for weeks.
Mm.
What are you doing with these three DBs?
I mean, if Carlos plays, he's a linebacker, so he
Yeah,
could rack some tackles up. I think he's probably the guy I'd want, but yeah, I think it's still up in the air right now. Chin's been kind of hit and miss, and Amadi, for the most part, has been good this year, but the last game or two, it feels like he's kind of slipping down a little bit.
yeah. His snaps have dipped. That was someone I actually, we were talking about before the show how I picked up Mike Jackson to play in one of my leagues. Don't feel good about it. But the person I picked him up to play over was Ugo Amadi.
Oh, okay, wow,
Because
yeah,
the snaps have started to dip. We were talking about 100% 2 weeks ago. Now we're at 79%, dropped to 61%. He
yeah.
missed a few tackles last week, including one that was a highlight on social media. Um,
Hmm.
and he obviously had the flop situation. I believe that was him, right? Right, I believe.
It was two of them, right? I think it was
Wait, there might have been either way. It's not trending well
right.
for Ugo Madi. So I think I'd play, like you said, I'd play Carlisle's if speed is out, and I'd play Chin otherwise.
Yep,
Yeah, I'm hands
I
off
feel
then.
good about that.
Pick one linebacker: D. Winters, Eric Wilson, Maris. I still don't know how to say his name.
I think,
Lufau.
yeah, Lufau.
Luke Gifford or Jacoby Windman. He has Zach Bond or Bubba Wagner's other linebacker spots. Glad to find you guys. Could be regular next year for sure. We appreciate that,
Oh,
Bird.
sweet.
That's
Yeah.
that's that's amazing. Our favorite, like we don't pick favorites in our chats, but our
No,
favorites
no,
are
no.
the
Totally
returners.
unbiased.
But our favorites are the returners. We love to get these questions from Fantasy Sports every week. We love getting questions from Harry Brooks and Kevin Hutchinson every week. There's just that's the community we're trying to hopefully build here in IDP. So and with IDP Plus. So with these linebackers, Sean, what are you looking at? Do you want to play the 49er game? Do you want to play the Eric Wilson game? I might be willing to play the Jacoby Woodman game because I'm doing it in one of my championships. So what do you think?
I don't mind the Eric Wilson game.
Oh God.
I think that'll be a lot of running there. Both teams are going to try to establish a run. Eric Wilson, former Viking, got the revenge game going as well.
Is it bad that I actually didn't know he was a former Viking? Yeah, oh,
I
well,
mean
that's
that.
where he started his career, I suppose. Yeah, it was before my
Yeah,
IDP days.
I was
So
gonna say that was back before your time.
it was before my time, I suppose, back all the way in 2020. But yeah, um, yeah. I mean, Eric Wilson's been one of those, the Isaiah McDuffies of the world. The fill-ins for Green Bay have historically been pretty productive over the last couple of years, and same is true this season. Same was true last week, where we saw him grab 8 tackles, 100% of snaps. Um, yeah, I mean, I'd be fine going with Eric Wilson. I would be fine going Jacoby Windman, like I mentioned before. I am trusting him in one of my championships, which comes down to a lot of injuries. But we're talking 100% of snaps there as well. Rookie, up and comer. But I think you're right. I think Wilson's probably the safest, especially if we're talking a tackle favored format. I think he's got the chance to get the double digits more than any of these other guys. So good that we agree. He does also say he could go with Darius Musa, and that is interesting to me
That
because
is very interesting.
I picked him up and I'm playing him as
Yeah,
well in that same league, and I actually am excited for that one.
I
Let's
will
talk about
pivot
that.
to this. I will change my answer. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah, because
I would
you
too.
got the Giants going against the Colts. The Colts are probably going to jump out to a big lead and just pound the rock the rest of the day. That's a lot of tackle opportunities. Yeah,
And
I'm
even
just
if
with you.
they don't jump to a big lead, they're going to run the ball from start to finish. I mean,
Right.
the Giants defense, the defensive line is beat up. They're getting to the second level, and the second level is where Musa will be. So
Yep.
they like him there. I like him there. I agree with you. I would make that pivot. There we go. Look at us. All right. Harry Brooks. Picking two here, going on the offensive side of the ball here. Rashad White, Devonta Smith, Adam Thielen, Amir Abdullah, Kendrick Miller, or Tank Bigsby. I actually have fairly good confidence with who I want to pick here, but what do you think, Sean?
Uh, Smith scares me without Hurts. I am kind of leaning Thielen here a little bit,
That's one of them
and
for me.
then no, it's between White and Bigsby for that last spot for me.
Mm.
I think I'm leaning Bigsby just because it is against the Titans, and I
Rashad
can
White
see him
against the
finding the end zone.
Panthers.
You got Bucky Irving there too.
Mm.
Rashad White's not terrible either.
It's not easy, and we understand why you're asking this one, Harry. I think I lean Rashad White and Adam Thielen. That's where my initial gut went. I think that the flaws with Rashad White, the struggles we see, the occasional fumbles, the occasional drop, whatever it is, um, it gets offset because at the end of the day, he's just been productive for fantasy. I think we have a
Yeah,
more negative perception of him than the Bucks have, and than what reality has been. And ultimately, reality is that the Bucks are going to, the Panthers can't stop the run. Is the reality of it. They're dead last in fantasy points allowed to the running back. So I'm gonna and like we just said, no Jersey Jewel. We're talking backup linebackers here as well. So I'm going.
that's a
I'll
good
go
point.
Rashad White and Adam Thielen. I would play Devonta Smith over Tank Bigsby personally.
You think so?
I
You
would, and
trust
just
Pickett?
no, not in the slightest. But I trust Devonta Smith to be playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder after last week. I
Yeah,
think
but
he.
somebody's got to get the ball to him, and it's
Well,
Pickett.
yes, that's why he would be the third of a pick two. So I don't have to stake my name on it. But
Fair
it,
enough.
it's Rashad White, Adam Thielen for me. Adam Thielen. I was just saying this before, but the Panthers look like they're having fun again, at least on offense. It's a
Yeah,
cliche thing to say, so I don't like saying it. But Adam Thielen is enjoying himself, and I'm here for that. 6+ targets in each of the last 4 weeks, double digits in two of them. But the benching, which I criticize, seems to have done something for the Bryce Young of this Panthers team. So I'll play Adam Thielen or Rashad White.
I'm going to stick with Bigsby just because the Titans have been
Bad.
terrible against the run. Also, um, I can see Bigsby getting the touchdown. Where if it's PPR, I think White gets a boost in that regard. So if it's
Yeah,
PPR, probably go White. If it's not, I think I like Bigsby a little better.
yeah. Rashad White definitely favored, and yeah, you could talk me out of Rashad White if it was standard. That's definitely a big part of that component too. Fantasy Sports asking, picking one here. We're talking about another Gifford question. Cashman, Winman, Vigil, or Aluakon. Man, who would imagine saying, knowing that you're including Aluakon with this group of names, um, and possibly not picking him still as well.
Right. I mean, we were talking about Whitman, and we figured we would get quite a few questions today, but we're putting him beside a Lewis, and it's a really
It's a fair
strong
point.
argument. Yeah.
And yet, I mean, I don't know about you, and I don't know if the Ivan Pace return changes anything for you. It doesn't for me, but Blake
No.
Cashman's the one for me. I mean, he's been fantastic. And we have a very competitive game with Green Bay coming up here where we know Green Bay
Right.
wants to run the ball.
Yeah. Both teams are going to want to run the ball here,
Yeah.
and yeah, Cashman is the top guy for me as well. I actually think Windman is second for me.
Hey, give my guy some. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he might be second for me as well. If Tony Pollard was active, I'd be a little bit higher on Alucon.
Although
But I,
kind of just
yeah.
hasn't been getting it done for me lately.
Yeah.
Um,
Not like Cashman has, for sure.
the Titans could just be throwing the ball all day.
Oh man, the Tennessee Titans. That is a team that of all the bad teams in the NFL, that's one of the hard. That's one of the harder offenses to watch still for me. It's just hard to watch. But let's
Is
go
is
on.
it the Rudolph
Yeah.
being there? Do you miss Rudolph in Pittsburgh?
Listen, it's the season. You know, it's December. Of course, I miss
It's,
him. Of course, I miss Rudolph in December. But every other time of the year, no. Fantasy Sports got the question that a lot of people were left asking yesterday. What the hell happened with Dion Henley, who in your championship week against the Patriots gave you a fat goose egg? Was he hurt? Did he play all the snaps? Do you have any insight for us, Sean? Because I know he played 72% of snaps, and I know we got 0 tackles on him. What
yeah,
happened?
he was not hurt. It was just a terrible matchup right away from him. There wasn't a whole lot of snaps. Yeah, just very unfortunate from a guy who has been just consistent every game he's been in. Just to lay a dud here in the playoffs. Championship game.
Yeah,
Brutal.
it's not one that we wouldn't have expected to be as bad as it was.
Right.
But you also look at just how the game went. You know, the Chargers took a double-digit lead immediately, and then went
Yeah.
on to add to that, and then went on to add to that, and believe it or not, they went on to add to that. So, and and in doing so as well, I believe they ran the ball. You know, the Patriots ran the ball like 10 times, and half of that
Yeah.
came from Drake May on either a scramble out
Scrambles.
of bounds,
Yeah.
which is not going to give you a tackle up the middle. So game script contributed to him not getting rushes up the middle for Henley to get tackles, and game script produces no rushes. So it was it was a perfect storm of crap to hit your fantasy lineup, which just
Yeah.
sucks. But that's football for you. That is fantasy football. That's why we love it. That's why we hate it.
Yeah. We hate it. Can't wait for it again next year.
Yep. And live with a question. Need three, get three. Okay, so I'm guessing we gotta pick three names here. You get 3 points per tackle in a PPR, but I don't think the PPR will help any of these guys. Um, would you play Blake Cashman? We got the EJ Speed, although we don't know if he's going to play yet. Luke Gifford, Winton, or Muasau. I think we're definitely playing Cashman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so pick two of those remaining names. I assume that's supposed to be
Uh,
Winman, right?
it's the only one I can think of.
Right. I'm gonna double check there isn't a Winton I haven't forgotten. I forgot
I
about, but
think there's a Winston in Cleveland, but he's like way down on the depth chart.
yeah,
If
no.
I'm not
Let's
mistaken.
assume Jacoby Winman. I'm 99% sure that's the case.
Yeah, so Cashman for sure. Pace doesn't scare me. I don't trust Speed, even if he is healthy. I'm worried that they just won't get that many tackle opportunities against the Giants. Uh, Muasau, I like also. That's number 2 for me.
So that's between Luke Gifford and Jacoby Wynn.
Windman.
And I think it's women for me.
I think it is too. Gifford. Look, the Jaguars have not been giving up a lot of points to linebackers, which is weird. As much as they try to run and establish a run with ETN and Bigsby, and with the emergence of Cedric Gray running around getting all those tackles last week, it could be a little bit of a mess there. That's one reason I'm not completely avoiding the Titans linebacker situation, but I am a little
It's your
weary of
fantasy
it.
championship. If you have someone you feel a little bit more confident in, I'm gonna avoid
Yeah,
the potential goose egg. We just
exactly.
and for a lot of these questions as well. And I should have said this at the top of the show, but if you have, most of us have played against our opponent in some way so far. We've had a few NFL games to be played. So if you were going against Diane Henley, you had Diane Henley, those might impact our advice. If you have a lead, or if you have if you're trailing and there's upside you need, or there's floor you need, those things might be needed, because I think Gifford could put up a monster day, but he could also put up 30% snaps.
Right.
Last week he only played 46%. So in the average circumstance, 3 points per tackle, I'll go Muasau, Cashman, and Windman with
Yeah,
some
I
relative
like that too.
confidence.
I'm
Yeah.
worried about speed, not having enough snaps. I'm worried about Gifford, Cedric Gray, James Williams, everybody else being involved as well.
Harry's got also. I should have mentioned as well. And glad you made it to the championship. Glad we were able to help you along the way. Harry Brooks as well, asking an important question. Was there an imposter playing in the Henley jersey? Um, I believe Will Power had the answer for that, which was that he was pulled in fourth quarter during garbage time.
Yeah.
Which obviously he gave you a fat zero up to that point for the reasons we just laid out before. So no imposter, just a horrific Patriots team. And yeah, I think that a lot of people think the Patriots are imposters because they're trying to imitate an NFL offense. But let's move on to Kevin Hutchinson here. Good morning to you, Kevin. Which two defensive backs have Trevon Moehrig, Dane Belton, or Richardson here? 2-point tackles, 1 point assist, 5 points for an interception, one for pass defense.
The one that jumps out right away is Dane Belton. I know he wasn't as good last week, but I would expect him to jump back up and have a good game today against the Colts. Got Joe Flacco back, maybe slinging it down there a few times as well. So I think that helps.
I think it does as well. I mean, I don't think any of us are saying the deep game was excelling with Anthony Richardson. And in theory, it should be better with Joe Flacco. Damani Richardson's interesting because we saw 100% of snaps last week. We saw an interception. We're talking a
Mm-hmm.
5 point interception league, and I mean, tackles are 2 points each. But I might want to go Belton and Richardson and take
That's where I'm leaning.
the lottery ticket here. Um, it's not that Mowbray can't get a turnover or something like that, but
He's playing the Saints.
she's playing the Saints.
That's what I don't trust. I don't trust the offense opposite of him.
To get 20 yards downfield on a
Yeah.
drive, let alone a pass. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think I agree with you right there. So we both go with Belton and Richardson.
I think so.
All right, good when we agree. And that one I think we're right on. So we can write
I
that
don't
one.
feel wrong about any of them yet.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
That's
probably
good.
know Monday.
That's good. That's good that we don't feel wrong about the takes we are just given. We're crushing it, obviously.
Yeah.
Uh, One Nation um, asking in IDP 1-2-3 scoring needs one defensive lineman of Chauncey Golston or Adam Butler. Another one of those questions of how do we get to this point, but we got to this point. My gut says Adam Butler, but what do you think? I mean, Kenny Pickett can't handle pressure. That's something.
That's true. They're going to run a lot, so he may just get run into a few times
Yeah,
for a few good
but the
quick
same could be
tackles.
true for Adam Butler,
Yeah,
who dropped a fat goose egg in your lineup last week, so it's kind of hard to trust.
yeah, I understand the hesitancy. I think I'm going to go Golston on this one because I
Interesting.
do
Okay.
think Saquon will give him plenty of tackle opportunities here, and Pickett probably going to stand there and get crushed a few times. Maybe Golston could be one of the guys that hits it.
I think that's fair reasoning. I'm gonna disagree for a rare change so far on this show, and I'll go Butler. And I know he hurt last week, but we're talking about a defensive tackle that has been putting up good tackle numbers in the past few weeks.
Yeah,
And if the Saints, we just established that the Saints won't be able to pass, they probably won't
or
be able to
try to
run,
run.
but the Raiders suck as well. So, if they can stay on the field, it's because they're running the ball, and it's because Kendrick Miller is doing something. And if Kendrick Miller is doing anything, Adam Butler is going to get a few tackles along the way. I just, I don't want anything to do with this Dallas team.
Saints Raiders. What a game that's going to
What a
be, huh?
game, man! What a game! Oh God, the NFL product this year has it's been a little bit up and down.
For
But
sure.
Wayne asking us here. Are we playing Tajay Spears over Achan and Flacco over, or let's two separate questions here. So let's start with one. Would you play Tajay Spears, no Tony Pollard, juicy matchup with the Jaguars, over Devon Achan with no
With
Tua?
Tua out. Oof. I don't hate him for doing it. And Spears has been on
Spears.
fire.
I think it's Spears.
I think it's Spears too. He's been getting 2 touchdowns, each game
Good
here lately. It
player.
feels like, yeah,
Good
yeah.
player. I've been a Tajay Spears fan for forever now. I've been
He's
vocal. It's been
given
such
the
weird and terrible usage this year.
given the Titans life here over the last few weeks. Yeah, without Tua, I don't think it's a bad pivot at all to go with Spears.
Yeah. I don't blame you if you go either way with this. I don't blame you if you want to go with the guy that got you there, which is
Yeah,
Achan, most likely,
I, s-
unless Tajay came through for you last week. It's your
I still
chance.
think he'll have an okay day,
Yeah.
HN, but I think Spears actually gives you the higher ceiling this week.
Yeah. I would go Spears as well. And the second part of this of Joe Flacco over Bryce Young. It's a good question. That's difficult, honestly. I think I lean Bryce Young.
I think I do too,
I
just
don't mind
because
Flacco, but I think I go Bryce Young.
I see Flacco not having to do much, the second half of the day and just handing it off. Where Bryce will probably have to be in a bit of a shootout with Baker Mayfield. That should
Against a
be a good
Tampa
game.
defense that has been nothing but
It's
struggling
very porous.
in the second
Yeah,
half in the secondary.
they're on like their ninth defensive back as well. So no
Yeah.
Winfield, no Izzy, like it's getting bad back there.
So
That should
let's
be a fun game.
yeah.
Should be the complete opposite of Raiders Saints.
That one will be. I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers somehow pulled it out. I think the Bucks win, especially after last week. But this Panthers team is playing well recently, and that's good to see. Another IDP 1 2 3 scoring question for two defensive backs. Going back to Mo Rig from Nation here, but with Amadi as other options or Hufanga, another sad mention of a once great name that he's with this group. I think I go Mo Rig, and I don't want to play either of these other two.
I
Honestly, I
don't
feel like
either.
you can find better options.
I do think Murray's the better of these three.
Yes,
Um,
but we got to pick two.
well, we got to pick two. Who?
I think I go Hufanga, but I would pick up and play Mike Jackson over it. You know, if I could get Damani Richardson, I'd play him over these guys.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I don't like the matchup for Hufanga and
No,
Amadi.
Amadi.
After being as good as he was, he's starting to scare me with his playing time.
Yeah, it's good based on usage, not necessarily based on ability.
But
Um,
if it has to be these three, I'll take Amadi over Hufanga.
yeah,
I think.
fair enough. Nitish Sharma asking in full PPR, Debo against Detroit or Jalen McMillan against Carolina. What a
I
good
love this.
question.
I love this.
That's a good question, and I think it's Jalen McMillan.
That's who I'm playing. Dude's been
I mean,
hot here lately.
It's not the greatest matchup, but neither is this Debo match. I mean, it is a good matchup. Detroit's defense has fallen off a bit. We had the bit of a revival last week.
Yeah, I'm taking McMillan. I think here, because I
I
do
think
expect this
PPR
to
is the
be a
one
high
we're playing
scoring game, shootout, and I don't know, something feels off with Purdy. Like he is just not the same guy he was, and I don't know if I can trust him to get the ball to Debo outside of screens and just a few handoffs. So I'm not trusting that right now.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think I lean with you. I think you're right. I think I should go McMillan. I could easily see Debo dropping a fat zero in your lineup after dropping the 25 last week in full PPR leagues. I think I go McMillan because I think that game will honestly be more competitive. Um,
Yeah,
but that's difficult. I understand why you're struggling with that, Natish. That's a difficult one for me. Sam asking from, I'm guessing this is Jawan Jennings, picking two right now that we would no doubt start this week. So hopefully we have some confidence here. Jawan Jennings, Calvin Ridley, Adam Thielen, McMillan, or Darnell Mooney.
I'm still mad at Mooney, so he's out.
I've forgiven him a little bit, but I
No,
also,
I'm not doing it.
it's not his fault. It's a changing quarterback, you know.
It was the week before that.
Yeah, the week before that
Yeah,
was
that's why I'm upset
I
with
took
him.
him out of my lineup for that one. It was
Did you?
I did.
I
I was still eliminated, so it
he
didn't
got
matter.
me.
But yeah. Um.
uh,
Still, he's
I
not
like
someone I would no doubt start. You know, this week anyway.
Thielen and McMillan stand out the most, just because of that shootout I'm expecting there.
I think it's the same for me as well. Um, and I think either Debo or Jawan Jennings is going to have a good fantasy day. I just don't know which one, and I don't
Yeah, yeah.
feel confident enough to say it's both. I don't think it will be both.
I
So I don't
mean,
know which one. I think Ridley could have a nice little revenge game possible. You know, this Jaguars defense
sure.
sucks. Um, yeah, these are better options. I think these guys are all in a similar tier. I think you're going to have a lot of startable options at the end of the day with these guys. I think I lean Ridley McMillan, but I like Thielen a lot, man. That's difficult. Have you locked in any two as I do a quick ponder?
McMillan feels the shortest of me, of all these. I think I do like. I am intrigued by Jennings, but again, I feel like he's less likely to give me that goose egg than Debo. You know, I'm a bit concerned with Debo, but I feel a little more confident with Jennings. Thielen's right there also. Ridley, every time I trust him, he does nothing. Every time I bench him, he goes off. So
Yeah. Are you
um,
benching him then?
that league isn't alive anymore.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you're benching him, then I'll pick Ridley, and then we can get the best of both worlds.
there you go.
Yeah. I'll,
I
I'll,
probably
I'll
would have benched him in this.
yeah. I'm gonna I'm gonna stick with my gut on this one. Yeah. I'll go Ridley and McMillan. I like Thielen. I think that's a totally fine start as well. I think Juwan Jennings would be a fine start. Um, but I like this Ridley matchup a lot. I think he's got something to prove against the Jaguars. I don't think he was happy with his time with the Jaguars. And this team sucks. And
I'm
I
gonna
think they can move the ball slightly with Rudolph throwing. So
feel really big on Spears though. That's why I'm kind of off of Ridley. So I'm gonna go McMillan. Stevens right there. I think Jennings over Stevens. I think is where I'm leaning, just because I want to see the Niners come out and really try to stick it to the Lions. I'm gonna go
Sean,
there.
your mic just became a lot like quieter, a little bit underwater. Just to let you know, it was fine like 10 seconds ago, 5 seconds ago.
You good now?
Yep, perfect.
All right. I don't know. I got some weird electrical stuff going on right now.
Yeah, well, we're hoping everything's okay. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to let you know. Um, yeah. So willpower, also one of those regulars we love to see. He's just keeping an eye out on that EJ Speed active, and we are as well. So, although honestly, half the time I feel like Will beats us to it. But in the meantime, we will keep on going with these questions here. Little
Fantastic cheat
injury
code
up.
there.
What's that?
Great cheat code there with Carl Eyes.
Oh yes, great cheat code
Probably.
indeed. And we did get a little bit of an injury update from yesterday's Chase Brown. He was diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. Our fantasy seasons are not contention on Chase Brown at this point, unless you have a Week 18 situation. But yeah, so let's move on. We had that question from Natish already. B. Blair asking, Rico Daddle or Raheem Blackshear? Here we go. Championship week. The battle of the backups. I mean, Rico's not. I guess Rico's the starter. I mean, God, I don't want any of these, man. I mean, give me Dowdle, I guess, and I'll hope he gets some dump downs.
The one thing the Buccaneers have been good at is stopping the
Stopping
run.
the run. That's
Yeah,
why for all I know, Mike Boone gets work. You know,
that's true. Yeah,
they have been so reluctant to give Raheem Blackshear any role on offense. He's been on that team for a while.
yeah, it's Dattle for me. I know he's going to at least get some touches.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thinking as well. He also has another one here, and I love this deep dynasty league that you're playing in, man, or whatever the hell this format is, because we're talking Jalen Coker, Olamide Zacchaeus, or Dontavian Wicks.
I
Yes,
have this. I'm very
uh,
close to the same situation in one.
I love it. Well, since he doesn't specify whether we're picking one or whatever, let's just put him in order real quick. Wicks does have a good matchup, this
Yep.
Minnesota matchup, but he is the wide receiver 4 for his team. Got Olmide for, I guess, the wide receiver 2/3 in Washington,
Yep.
who caught a touchdown.
Hmm.
I think I go Olmide, Wicks, Coker. I'm not interested in the
Yeah.
Coker.
Exactly. This is Zacchaeus. I have Zacchaeus and Coker on a team, and I actually just picked up Olumide because I had Coker sitting there, and I'm like, man, I really don't trust that. I know I'm expecting a bit of a shootout here between those guys, but I can't trust Coker right now. Zacchaeus has been on fire.
This is how you know you're on the right fantasy show. Everybody that you're tuning in, that you just heard this man next to me say, "Yeah, I was deciding between Olamide and Jalen Coker too, and I went to the wire and I decided to go with Olamide. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you know you're in the right degenerate area of your fantasy.
I'm right there in it with you guys. I'm not just
Oh yeah, hey,
looking
like
from
I
the
said,
sideline. We're
I,
deep.
I'm I'm starting 3 IDP players in one of my championships that were not on my team yesterday. I spent about 30 fab this morning to fill out starting roles in my championship roster. Willpower asking Darius Muasau or Dane Belton for the Giants, pointing out Indy gives up points to safeties, and that could be a little bit better with Joe Flacco as well in theory with the downfield passing game. Still, I still go Muasau. Um, Indy gives up points to safeties. Or sorry, I had that in reverse. Forget the Flacco bit. The problem with you know, uh, I'm losing it right now. I messed it up.
There's no coffee in him. Give him a
No
second, guys.
coffee. Let me just overarching say Joe Flacco should help Dane Belton in theory if the downfield passing game is better. It won't matter because the Giants won't stay competitive in this, and they're going to run the ball down the throat and run the ball straight into the arms of Darius Muasau. So I will still go Muasau. Indy could give up more points to safeties against teams that are, you know, are better to take advantage of that.
I get it because Belton is playing close to the line, so he's almost like that other linebacker
And with the
at this
injuries that
point.
he has to,
Yeah.
but
I mean, either one, if not both these guys, could have a really strong day, I think.
yeah, we could be talking about a 16 fantasy point day to a 14 fantasy point day with these guys, or a 14 to 12.
Yeah.
You know, in general scoring. Um, so yeah, I think both could be solid plays. I'll still go with the linebacker. I'll go with the guy I've been recommending in most of these picks
Yeah.
so far with Musso.
Yeah. Slightly Muasau over Belton.
Will mentions as well that Ugo Madi is playing the Raiders, and they are never in 11-man personnel. Yeah, the Raiders can't afford going in 11 man personnel. Let's go down the list here. You got Jacoby Myers. You got Brock Bowers at tight end, who I suppose can line up as wide receiver. And then I guess you could throw Trey Tucker to get some cardio in on the other side. Um, but yeah, no, the Raiders are not exactly in any good personnel groups for the modern day
For
NFL.
sure.
Dale Cooper. Speaking of Jacoby Myers,
Oh man.
PPR. Are we playing Jacoby Myers? Are we playing Jerry Jeudy? I'm playing Jacoby Myers with heaps of confidence over Jerry Jeudy with DTR.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not. I'm not playing the DTR game. Right? We've confirmed it will be DTR starting. Right? It's not a Jameis Winston flip back or anything.
Yep. DTR against the Dolphins secondary, who's I don't think they've been the greatest against the pass as of late, but it's still DTR trying to throw the ball. I think it's supposed to be a rainy day there.
Yes.
Anyway,
I mean, and
so
the over under for that Browns Miami game as well is 33 points.
yeah.
So not great. Also, we have some news coming out right now of just actives and inactives, and also Nick Underhill, who I massively respect as a Saints beat reporter. He's been covering that team for a while. Tweeted out that he thinks Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was promoted from the practice squad, is going to have a real role today. So a little bit of maybe some pause for pause for the Kendra Miller truthers out there, which include myself, but not any fantasy lineups right now. But if you're thinking about starting Kendra Miller, that might be cause enough for me to take a step back and consider my other options. And if you guys have other options, we're happy to help in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Other inactives that have come out, according to Adam Schefter, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, those guys are playing. Inactives, no DeMar Hamlin, no Shaq Barrett, who recently rejoined the Bucks, no Curtis Samuel, and no Nakobe Dean, all of which were expected, but good to get confirmed. Yeah. All right, let's move on to fantasy sports. Keep those questions coming on in. In week 7, when okay, yeah. So in week 7, when EGSP was out until Carlisle got hurt, he was leading in tackles over Franklin. Similar pattern repeated last week. Does Franklin's role change? Does he play deeper with EJ being out?
I think he's just the younger, faster guy is all that's really about.
Just a better player. Yeah. I mean, they trust him to do more than they trust EJ Speed to do. I mean, they trust EJ Speed to play run defense, and they trust Zaire Franklin to do whatever they want.
Yeah, Franklin just kind of probably takes on a little more responsibility and that freedom that Carlisle has to not have to worry as much allows him to run around and do whatever. Kind of like Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and
That's
San
what I was
Francisco.
trying to think of. I was trying to
Yeah,
think of a similar situation because it sounds so familiar, and
yeah.
that's a very good one.
Roquan and Patrick Queen, last year before, one guy kind of manning everything, and the other guy is just allowed to run all over the place. I think that's what happens.
Yep. Levante David and
Anybody.
Lil J Money asking Malik Neighbors, Adam Thielen, Calvin Ridley, Calvin Ridley or Jalen McMillan in PPR. I guess for now we'll just put them in order. Neighbors is playing. We can confirm that. I think I flipped the order of this, and I'll play Neighbors over. I don't know. I'll go McMillan, Neighbors, Ridley, Thielen, and I like Thielen. I like all these options.
Yeah, McMillan's the top guy for me here. I don't know about Neighbors. I'm
I
worried
don't
about.
see. That's the thing. Neighbors is the one I feel least confident about, but I have no reason to
Yeah,
feel more confident about these other guys. We've seen
that's
such a high
totally fair.
floor from Neighbors. We know
Yeah.
he's going to get peppered. He's that good of a player. He's that open. There's no one else.
Well,
It might not be for yards. It
yeah,
might not be for touchdowns. But if it's PPR, he has a similar floor.
for sure. I think Neighbors is. It's real rainy here in Tennessee, and they are expecting more storms, so I could see Ridley not getting as many passes today.
That is a good call out. If the weather is an issue.
It's so I'm knocking him a bit there too. I'll go Neighbors second. Thielen, Ridley.
Yeah, if I have to double check the weather, but I obviously trust you given that you're there. So I'd be willing to peg Calvin Ridley down a bit on that one, especially because I like the other options as well. Calvin asking starting two as a he doesn't actually say who he's oh there it is, it's a little below. He's a 35-point favorite. Good for you, Calvin. You are on your way, and hopefully you
Never
get
trust your
never
platform's
trust the projection.
projections.
Never trust it. Feel good about it. All right, feel good. Enjoy
Yes,
it.
yes. Never,
Starting
never
two
be
in
happy.
PPR. Tyreek, given the many Tyreek and Ridley, given we got some quarterback concerns, and yeah,
Oh
these are
man,
difficult. I mean, actually, it's not for me, but Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Isaac Guerrero, Jerome Ford, and Johnu Smith, and it's the last two names here, and I'm not really thinking too much about it.
you still trust Johnny without Tua?
I trust him as much as I trust Tyreek.
That's fair.
And if the weather is like I would say Ridley if the weather was not a concern, which it is. Isaac Guerrero's playing behind a very banged up offensive line.
He's banged up himself.
He's banged up himself against a Detroit team that is pushing for a number one seed and a
Mm,
49ers team that's out of it. Tyreek's hurt and
no Tua. Yep.
he hasn't been great without Tua. And John's been the short yardage pepper guy. So if we're talking about floors as well, which is what we're talking about here, when you have a bit of a lead, I go Jerome Ford and I go John Smith. I think Ford has the highest floor of this bunch.
Yeah, Ford's definitely the top guy for me here. It's actually down, even with the weather being a potential issue here. It's Ridley and Johnu, and whoever's going to be the quarterback. Your tight ends are usually your best friend. I'll go Johnu as well. But Ridley's right there with him.
Ridley would be third on my list, then Tyreek, then Guerrero. Um, so much for the $100 of fab everyone spent on Guerrero, including myself.
Or drafting
Delilah,
Tyreek Hill early.
yeah, Delilah, full PPR needs a flex. Kendra Miller, Dalton Kincaid, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Raheem Blackshear. Oh man, the I call this the group of disappointments. Um,
The what ifs.
the what ifs. Kendra Miller was what he's supposed to be. That goes for like half these guys. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is difficult because I trust Nick Underhill's reporting, and if he
Yeah.
says Clyde's going to have a role today, I think Clyde's going to have a role today. They look for any reason not to give Kendra Miller work. So if I have hints telling me not that Kendra Miller is not going to get work, he's probably not going to get work. And especially full PPR isn't exactly helping him either. Um, Kincaid is where I'm thinking. I'd be fine
I'm
going
actually leaning
Cooks.
Cooks.
Cooks is the other name I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm going Cooks. That's what I'm going with. No CD Lamb. Uh, Rush has to throw it to somebody besides the Eagles, and
I think it's
those few
just tight
passes
end.
are going to Cooks.
Those Eagles corners are good though. And it's
I
not like
know.
Brandon Cooks is going to be good enough to get this done. I mean, I don't think he gets followed or anything. But you are right. I mean, if he's going to complete even 16 passes, Jake Ferguson can only catch so many. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
I guess
uh,
you could talk me into it.
Philly's like one of the better teams against tight ends. Also,
Yeah,
it's
I'll I'll agree with you. I'll go Brandon Cooks.
yeah, it's not great, but that's where we're at.
Yep, that's where we're at. We did that one. Willpower dynasty question. Tua or JJ McCarthy in a 4-point passing touchdown league. Uh, man. Um,
You can never feel safe with Tua, but we've also haven't
Dynasty.
seen McCarthy.
Man. Um, I'm gonna tell myself there's a 4-point passing touchdown league, so whatever you go with can't be too wrong. Um,
Sure.
so I'll go with I'll go with Tua. Proven. Mostly. kind of.
Yeah. When he's in there, he's great as long as he doesn't get hit in the head.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
But
I guess it depends on how established your other quarterbacks are. If you don't have anything else, you
yeah,
know, I think I probably go Tua if I don't have anything to start. But if I'm have someone that I can fill in for now, I'll take the upside of JJ McCarthy and play the long game.
yeah, to a slightly,
Mm-hmm.
slightly, because I do think whoever is the Vikings quarterback, they've got such a good scheme built down there that it's built for success. But I don't know how much that is based strictly on the quarterback themselves.
JJ throwing in a very important analysis here. It's because you're electric,
That's what it is.
which might be in response to apparently there's some white noise going come from with over here, but I think we might have fixed that before. If it's not, please let us know. But Uncle Fresh asking Brees Hall or Ty J Spears another how did we get to this point question that I will go with the other option, other side from the big name, because I will go Ty J Spears. And fight me on it, Sean. Fight me.
I'm not fighting you.
Okay.
I don't trust the Jets either.
Screw the Jets. Yeah.
Yeah, against
It's
the Bills, Titans against the Jags. Yeah, give me Spears.
yeah. It comes down to matchups and recent performance. I mean, Ty J Spears has shown that he can do everything Brees Hall is supposed to be able to do. Perks Act, another one of those regulars we love to see. Good to see you. Luke Gifford, Jack Campbell, Jacoby Windman as a flex. He's looking for some big boom guy. I mean, big boom. Luke Gifford is a big booming guy. But in terms of fantasy production, which one of these guys do you think has the highest? I'm guessing we're looking for highest ceiling. Um,
I've never seen or really seen Windman's ceiling yet. Jack
yeah,
Campbell is mediocre at best,
not a ceiling
and
guy.
yeah, Gifford.
I think it's Windman for me. I think he's got the blend of all of it. We don't know what the boom is, but that's
Yeah,
kind of part of the upside, you know.
yeah, and the Buccaneers like checking down to the running backs. I'll go Windman, Gifford, then Campbell.
Yeah, especially if we're looking big boom, that's the order I go in as well. If we're looking strictly a blend of the best possible outcomes, then I probably go Campbell second. But either way, I would go with Whitman first if we're just picking one. Viking Chente asking starting two full PPR. Juwan Jennings, Garrett Wilson, or Khalil Shakir, or Josh Downs. Good options here. Um, that's difficult. That's a difficult one. Full PPR. Khalil Shakir is the one that jumps out to me.
Yeah, for sure, Shakir, and I'm leaning Wilson as the other guy.
Yeah, it's between Wilson and Downs for me because I Josh Downs' lines I know off the top of my head were it's a 5.5 reception, 60-yard guy. So if we're expecting around that range of 5 receptions, 55 yards and full PPR, we're talking about a 12-point floor. That's not
Hmm.
floor. Sorry, 12-point average is kind of what being expected. But I guess that's more or less what we're hoping for Garrett Wilson as well. Um, but that said, Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are not on the same page. I don't think that's changed in the last week. Um,
I
I
think with Adams a bit banged up, and the Bills having some guys out in the secondary, the matchup says Wilson, or the potential for it is there.
yeah,
I just
I think in my championship week that's probably the way I would go. I think the best two are going to be Shakir and Downs, and so I'll say Downs. But in a championship week, I probably if I were you and I know if I'm being realistic of what I would do in your position, Viking Chente, I would play Garrett Wilson and close Shakir. I think Downs can outperform Garrett Wilson, but it's your championship week. You should go with the guys that you're okay being wrong about. That's the advice I always try to give out around these playoff years. Are go with the guys you're okay being wrong with,
yeah.
because you don't want to feel regret um, if you overthink it. Will, see there it is. Will mentioning before because apparently I didn't get anyone. I need to get better beat reporters on my Twitter feed. EJ Speed is active. So is Carl Eyes, but that obviously puts him close to, unplayable. Right?
Yeah, yeah. It's not a great matchup anyway. I don't think
Yeah. I don't think
against
so.
the Giants. But yeah, that sucks.
Um, B. Blair is saying he's got a 2 week dynasty league. It's stuff right now. He also needs a sleeper DB, not named Dane Belton. This was in response to his last one, which was the Coker, Zacchaeus, and Dontavian Wicks one. Um, Sleeper DB, not named Belton. I mean, we talked about the Panthers DBs. The Damani Richardson, the
Mike Jackson.
yeah, Mike Jackson could be solid starts. Um, any others that pop off the top of your head?
Nah, without just sitting here looking at every game and
Yeah,
trying to say, oh, maybe this guy, Cam Lewis, maybe. I think Hamlin's out.
Hamlin is out. Yeah,
Daryl Worley plays safety, but usually has corner eligibility. You're on sleeper, so it doesn't matter. Um, yeah, that's the only ones coming in my head at the moment.
yeah, and stuff like that. It's good to, that's why we highly encourage people to get subscriptions. Because our Discord chats are here daily. 24/7 here to help out with questions like this, where it's a little bit more in depth and talk it through. Because these things, it's more than what we have time to talk about on these shows. We want to try to get to these rest of these questions as we come up to the top of the hour shortly. So he was thinking about Xavier Woods. What do you, I assume that's Xavier Woods. Uh, what do you think about Xavier Woods as a starting option?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that could. I mean, yeah, I think he's one of those guys that's been, what you're going to get, or what the risk is. You know what the ceiling is. You know what the floor. We have enough of a sample size.
Well, with no Josie Jewell in there, also, he may get a few more shots and some tackles. So yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. We got a question here of should we be worried about the Bills Jets weather? Um, do you have any updates on that as I look up for it? I'm seeing the cold. Apparently, it's not going to be. It's going to be relatively warm relative to the time of year. Might get some rain, but I don't think it's anything that we should be staying away from.
These guys are used to playing in the snow, rain, stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be too bad.
Yeah, the Bills, I'm not worried about in general when it comes to weather. Man, they were born in the snow. I think I said the last
Right.
time I was on this. Um, and I mean, Aaron Rodgers spent his entire career in Green Bay, most of which it can be said for Devontae Adams as well. Uh, Pablo Aranda asking Taylor Rapp or Harrison Smith. Oh man.
I'm going to wrap on this one.
Yeah, I will too. I don't mind the Smith matchup, but Harrison Smith's a guy I like having in best ball. I don't want to be doing this and not even like this. I mean, yeah, I'll agree with you. I'll go Rap as well. Um, B. Blair asking, is Cole Bishop a viable option?
I don't know if I'm ready to pull that trigger
Yeah,
without knowing for sure. I do know Rap is in there,
yeah,
and I would
Rap's
assume Lewis is the next guy.
yeah. Cole Bishop. I'm quickly pulling up his game logs as well, but he's obviously a rookie. He's only made 3 starts this year, despite a lot of opportunity in that secondary. We know that they like him. That's why they drafted him so high. We know that he got 100% of snaps last week. Um, so does that change your thought process at all? The fact that we saw him go up to 59% 2 weeks ago, 100% last week. Um,
Last week, Rap and Hamlin were both out. This week, Rap is back.
was Rap was out? Yeah. Okay, you're
Yeah.
right. Rap was out last week.
So no,
So
I
yeah,
don't.
I
I don't
agree with
trust him.
you. Yeah, it's probably going to drop down closer to that 40% range, or less. Could be nothing at all, and that type of thing you don't want to trust in your championship.
Yeah,
Um, Lil J Money asking about Miami defense. Sure. I mean,
I liked it. I liked it better
I'm playing them.
if this is. Yeah, I liked it better when I thought Tua was going to play. because I feel like they just shut down the Browns and then run the clock out. Now it's going to be just probably an awful game.
Yeah, I mean it's a 33-point over under, so I think you can
Yeah.
certainly get away with that defense. Um, I'll throw out some questions that I'm totally not dealing with one of my leagues. Miami defense against Cleveland or Miami or Indianapolis defense against the Giants.
Now I think you take Indy.
Then Tampa Bay against Carolina or Indy.
I'm gonna take Indy again.
All right, well that's good
The
to that's
Giants
good to
suck,
totally help.
and they're
Giants.
awful. And the Panthers have been picking it up as of late. They've been competitive.
Willpower pointing out as well that Tom Brady is trending and owned in 6% of sleeper leagues. Yeah, I have seen that.
Jeez.
I have seen that. Which is probably it's a little bit less than what he owns of the Raiders. But yeah, why not? I mean, hey, listen, see, everyone needs a locker room guy. I think is what the consensus of what people are saying. Real quick, we are going to be locking up the chats real soon. We only got about handful of minutes left. So if you guys have any questions, use that super chat feature. Because we'd love to be able to answer them. We just have a limited amount of time and a few more to get to. So if you want us to jump right to you, let us know. Joe C. asking Eric Kendricks, Foya Luakon, Darius Muasau, or Cedric Gray. Pick two.
I'm going Muasau and Kendricks as long as he plays, which I
That's
think he is.
that's what I was thinking too. I'll double check if we have a health update on Eric Kendricks. But in the meantime, I think that's where I go as well.
Yeah. Again, I'm not 100% sure how this Titans
Titans.
linebacking situation is going to be. I expect Gifford and Gray to be the main guys, but I do think James Williams rotates in somewhere,
Yeah,
and I'm
and we
not sure what
can
they're.
confirm, by the way, that Eric Hendricks is back and playing.
Okay, so I'm playing him because Saquon's going to run the ball all day.
Yeah, 100% agree there. So I'll go Kendricks and myself as well. Um, let's see. D-Rock, D-Rock Dramas. I hope I said that right, man. I definitely didn't. But with Ivan Pace back, would you go with him or D. Winters? He is starting Fred Warner as well.
I am not starting Ivan Pace.
That's what I
With
was.
Cashman playing, I do think he'll eat in. I think he'll get a few snaps in, 40 to
65%. Yeah.
65%. Yeah. But I think it hurts Metellus more than anybody because he was kind of picking up those other linebacking, snaps. So I think he regresses a bit. Pace isn't going to do enough for me to feel good about starting him.
Yeah.
So I'll take Winters and Warner, I guess.
I 100% agree. I mean, the thing with Winters, at least, he is a backup. We have those questions about what we will get out of any backup, but they don't have a choice. There's no one else.
Yeah.
They're out of linebackers. It's you got
Absolutely.
you got Dre Greenlaw back on the IR. You got Devondre Campbell sipping a mojito on a beach somewhere. They have to play D Winters 100% next to Fred Warner.
Right.
And it's not against a team that will dominate time possession. Detroit is very, very good. So I'll play D Winters with middling levels of confidence. Another Mulasau question. Picking two from Pablo Aranda here. Jamian Sherwood, Eric Kendricks, or Muasau. I think it's Muasau and Kendricks for me. I know Jamian
Boy.
been productive. I know that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think you're right.
the matchups great for Kendricks, and I think the matchups almost as good for Muasau as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Sherwood's been on fire too, though, man. He's the guy that got me there, so I'm keeping Sherwood and Kendricks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a big. It's a fair
But
thing to say.
I don't think any of these guys let you down today.
Yeah. Lil J Money, the final question for us here today: Miami defense or Minnesota defense? So obviously
That's
Miami against the
yeah.
Browns.
It's Miami
Yeah. Minnesota. It's a
against
solid
Green Bay.
defense. We're
Yeah.
not putting them against Green Bay
No.
if we can
That's
avoid that. and you can avoid that with Miami.
Yeah, put Miami in.
Miami's defense has played well this year, man. They've played
Yeah,
better than I ever thought they would. Um,
me too.
yeah, yeah, and the
Especially with
Browns
the
have been
injuries and whatnot.
as bad as we ever could have thought they'd be. So it works
Right.
out on both ends there. But that lines up our show here, Sean. How you feeling? How you feeling? You know, it's week 17. We just went through this. What's you
It,
all good? Everything good?
it was it was quick. It was quick.
Breeze by.
I miss it already. I'm ready
Yeah.
for next year.
Oh my goodness. Well, for myself and for Sean, I want to thank everyone for all these questions. You know, these shows would be me and Sean looking at each other awkwardly without these questions. And while, you know, we might love to do that, you guys wouldn't enjoy watching it. We wouldn't enjoy doing
Right.
it as much.
What we
Um,
do on our free time is our business.
exactly. And we don't need a cameras to do it. We could just stare at each other and admire the facial features. But that's neither here nor there because I want to thank you guys for your Star Stitch questions. And thank you guys for tuning in. We know that there's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of fantasy football creations, a lot of things you could be doing with your time. So we really appreciate, anyone spending your mornings with us here on these Sundays. So best of luck in your fantasy football championships. You can follow Sean here at Sean8386. Follow myself at Michael__Sicoli. And of course, follow IDP Plus at IDP Plus and join the club that we're with here. You know, join this group. You know, hit up a subscription. It's a great little post Christmas gift, great New Year gift. Just to join this year round thing because the best thing about fantasy football is that we have dynasties, we have leagues that are popping up, we have tournaments that we lead. You know, there's year round content that makes these subscriptions worthwhile. Especially if you get a year, you're pretty much just wrapping it through next season and getting the off season content as well with that. We do a ton of draft content, a ton of Senior Bowl stuff, more last year than we did ever. So a lot of good stuff's coming up as well. So thank you all for tuning in to this week 17 start sit show. For myself, for Sean, from everybody at B Plus, best of luck with your week 17 matchups. Best of luck with your fantasy football championships, and we will see you at some point.